I like this brand a lot because I like what they are, who they are, what they do, rather than I just like their product.
Hey everyone, this is Nazar Akil from Max Pro.
Hi, I'm Linda.
And I'm Paul.
And we're 11 Pebbles.
Hi, this is Lopa Vandermersch from Rasa.
Oh, you're listening.
And you're listening.
And you are listening
to the E-Comm Show.
Welcome to the E-Comm Show, presented by BlueTuskr, the #1 place to hear the inside scoop from other e-commerce experts, where they share their secrets on how they scaled their business and are now living the dream. Now, here is your host, Andrew Math.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the E-Comm Show. I'm your host, Andrew Maff, and today I am joined by the amazing Jake Karls, co-founder of MidDay Squares and chief rainmaker, and this is going to be awesome. Jake, you ready to do this, man?
You look so good on that screen right now, tan, jacked, the whole 9 yards. I'm fired up, excited to be here, and I'm curious to know how deep we're gonna get in this conversation. And I think it's my marry weekend. I'm getting married on Sunday, so I'm kind of like nervous and antsy. It's kind of weird. I'm never nervous or antsy. So, you got me in real time on that. So it's exciting.
Oh man. So normally we discuss like e-commerce stuff, but I'm 8 years into my marriage. So if we want to turn this into like here's my advice, actually, I'll give you quick and painless advice. You're always wrong. Just accept the fact that you're always wrong. Move on with your day. Find ways to cope elsewhere. It'll be fine. Then you'll figure it out.
I love it. I'm always wrong. I'm wrong in everything, in my life. So it's not something new.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Let's do a little bit of the stereotypical stuff in the beginning here. Why don't you give us a little bit of insight into yourself, your background, how you got started with MidDay Squares, and we'll take it from there. Does that work for you?
Yeah. So I was always the class clown. Growing up, I was always the one that wanted attention. And when I was a young kid, I was actually being really authentic to myself. I was always out there being, pranking people, having so much fun, being authentic. And I did horrible in school because of that. And academically, I was so poor that I almost didn't graduate from high school. My grades were so low, and my parents were called in the principal's office, and I'll never forget. And they said, "You're not going to graduate," and everyone else would. In that moment, I kind of said, "Holy shit! I gotta follow society's playbook here and kind of get with the picture and do well academically, because that's what you have to do in life. You could do well through school, get a job, have a family, and that's all." And so I changed my whole personality. I focused in school. I tried to do well academically. I went to college. I tried to study to be an actuary. And something was always weird inside me. Something always felt like uncomfortable. And I always felt not happy, to be honest with you. And third year in university, I was studying to be an actuary. I was failing miserably because it was so hard. And I was trying to prove to everyone that I could be an actuary. I was watching Shark Tank, and I watched this guy on the screen pitch his dream, and he was talking about, his business with such passion, energy, momentum, but yet he had 2 mortgages on his house. He had 3 kids. He had so much responsibility. And I'm sitting on my parents', couch at the time, crying and miserable that I can't get a job or that I'm failing in school, no responsibilities. And that was the moment I said, entrepreneurship is my game, and I need to join that. Whatever that guy has, I need that energy, because I'm obviously doing something wrong. And it's not for everybody, but in that moment, I decided that I'm going to launch a business, and I launched a fitness business first, did very well financially with it. And I did that for 3 years, and I lost passion for fitness after, and I kind of closed it out of nowhere. And I was like, I don't care how much money I'm making. I don't enjoy it. It became a chore every day to wake up and do it. And when it's a chore, you don't have fun, right? And what's the point of doing things if you're not having fun? And then the last thing I did is I launched a second business, and it was a party business. I was throwing parties across college campuses in Canada, and I was trying to sell them clothing, like T-shirts with logos, to make money. And because I'm such a bad operator, and this is what I learned over my decade of entrepreneurship, is I'm not good at management. I'm not good at operations. But the business failed. I went bankrupt. I lost $86,000 in that business, or $82,000. Can't remember the exact number. And then my sister, my brother-in-law approached me, and they're like, "Hey, you are one of the greatest storytellers and brand builders." That's what I was doing in the past with the fitness business and another business. I was very good at it. They're like, "What if you came in and helped us build this chocolate bar company that we just have this amazing dark chocolate bar that's, healthy, clean, functional. We need you to blow it up." And I looked at them and I said, "This is an interesting challenge, because you guys are good operators. If you guys do the operations, I don't have to focus on that. I could actually play to my strength, which is building a brand, hype, energy, cheerleader, rainmaking, like my title is." And that was it. I decided to join MidDay Squares. We launched it August 2018. And the idea was build the next the next Hershey's, let's call it, in better for you space, and do it while making a brand really relevant to consumers in the sense of, yes, I like this brand a lot because I like what they are, who they are, what they do, rather than I just like their product.
Yeah. So you already mentioned too, you're kind of in the better for you space because it's not your traditional chocolate bar. Like it's not like Hershey's. There's actually health benefits behind it, right? So what is it behind there? Do you equate it to kind of a protein bar in a small way, shape, or form? Like what's your differentiator?
So we call it a functional chocolate bar. So imagine taking a dark, delicious chocolate bar, an indulgence of like a Lindt bar, let's call it, and have a baby with a cleaner protein bar. So we make the baby and then we get rid of all the junk that's in protein bars, the artificial flavors, the additives, the sugars, and we make it a chocolate bar that has protein and fiber. And it's your 2 p.m. snack every single day that gets you to your lunchtime, keeps you full, it gives you some energy, and it doesn't bloat you or make you feel like shit, which a lot of bars do because they use that artificial junk, right? And so yeah, it's your typical afternoon chocolate snack. And I think that's where we've seen success, is the simplicity of that. And why we called it MidDay Squares is because it's your midday snack and it's square formatted. So it was just make it as easy as possible for the customer, well, we call them fans, our fans, to have a good experience, an easy experience, and give them what it's made for.
Gotcha. So we're just a little over 5 minutes into this interview, and I can already tell, like, you're not the average person that I interview when we have a show like this, right? Like, this isn't, usually it's the conversation is like, okay, here's what we're doing for advertising. Here's what our operations is like. This is kind of how we manage stuff, blah, blah. But you truly have this genuine, like, cheerleader passion for it. The one thing, though, that is interesting, I know that I have spoken to a good amount of entrepreneurs, especially on the e-commerce side, that are like just big fans of their brand. They think it's the best thing to ever happen, but it never really takes off. And yet here you are in the CPG space, in the chocolate space, let alone, which is a bitch in itself.
Yeah.
And you're clearing 8 figures a year after a business that's only been around for, what do we have, 5 years now? You said 2018. How did you get it to scale to where it is in this space?
3 things.
You know what? I'm going to leave that question at that.
3 things. Great. It's a great question. And you're right. A lot of people toot their horns and all that stuff, and that's fine. You need, as an entrepreneur, you need to be a cheerleader to a certain extent because you need to really believe and close your bubble to be so confident that you have this vision that can be built, so big. But a lot of time people don't know when to put the bat down too, right? That's the problem. But so for us, MidDay Squares, there's 3 things that our success can, I could garner, I could say that is responsible for somewhat of our success. Number 1, product market fit. When we launched this product, we knew that the market wanted it. And the reason why we knew is we had data that showed that dark chocolate was growing, so real chocolate was growing very fast year over year within this massive saturated market of chocolate. And so that means you didn't need education on it. And the second thing is vegan, plant-based proteins were also on a tear. And my sister was making this as a hobby snack before. So just a baby of these 2 massive growth categories. So we knew once people tried it, it would naturally fit into their lifestyle. That's number 1. Number 2 is we chose to do our own manufacturing. Controlling the supply chain and the actual manufacturing process allowed us to do the innovation we want to do, the way we want to do it, and the pricing structure we want. So that has allowed us to play the game. In food and beverage, most companies typically do a co-manufacturer, a third party, because they don't want to deal with the manufacturing. The last thing, and I think is the most relevant thing to today, especially on e-commerce, is storytelling. When we started this company, our whole idea was we are a media company as well. And what that meant was we took out our cameras day one and started filming and documenting everything, showing our consumers the good, the bad, the ugly of how we build this business, literally showing you milestones, successes, failures, how we fire people, how we hire people, how we raise money, legal battles. When a machine breaks down, here's what happens. So you saw it in real time, what was going on and what was happening to build this company to hopefully over $100 million. And what that did was it created this idea that you were on the journey with us. So when you went to the grocery store, you truly felt like you were buying the product from a family member or a friend or a neighbor. That's the feeling you had when you bought MidDay Squares, because there's 40,000 products in a store. Think about that. You have to separate yourself. If you don't have the budget or money to open up the space and get more real estate in the store, you need to win through creating a fandom before coming to the store. So our whole thesis was make friends, then do business. And what that meant was build the fandom by telling great stories that emotionally connect and relate instead of throwing down people's throats, hey, we're a very good chocolate bar that's vegan, gluten-free, soy-free, non-GMO, 100% organic, all that jazz that no one really cares about until they're buying the actual product in the store to look at the label. But you could do that once they're there. So to get them to want your stuff, make them feel something very deeply, and that's what we did very well. And I like to say that, today we built our company very differently in terms of our marketing. It's just a media company. It's editors, videographers, TV producers, rather than traditional marketers.
So what was your approach to getting that started, right? Because that is something that is consistently preached from some of the top entrepreneurs of the world. That, you have especially like the Gary V's of the world that are like, just, content, that kind of stuff. Obviously makes a lot of sense, but the bandwidth and then the capital it takes to have that kind of staff in place to be able to put that content out, that's the really challenging part. So how did you justify, hey, we need all these people to help us create video, when as a marketer, you can't really tie a direct ROI to that?
So yeah, there's no direct ROI. The only ROI that we're seeing is that our sales are going up at retail at a level that, we're not doing anything else to push it. So it has to be the organic content that we're garnering. We're garnering 40 million views organically a year. That's through our internal team. That's just the content they're creating, right? So I think if we close 10% of that, it's 4 million customers almost. It's a lot. So the reason why we knew this was going to be successful is two things. When I came in as the third founder, my partners were great at ops. They had the product ready. They just didn't know how to launch it. And I showed them the TV ratings from Shark Tank, and I showed them the TV ratings from Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and I showed them Elon Musk's social media following growing. And what I said was, what if we were to make a baby of these three things? And what I meant by the baby was, Keeping Up with the Kardashians is popular because people liked family drama. So if you could make the family drama, then we're a family business. We could do that potentially. We don't have the posh life that they have, but we have the drama. Second thing was, Shark Tank is all about entrepreneurs. So what if we just showed people more about the entrepreneur, the behind the scenes of the what goes on, actually, not just the here's how we raise money, the surface level stuff. We take it 10 steps, further. And the third thing is people love or hate Elon Musk because he's unapologetically himself. So you being unapologetically yourself, you have a big chance of building a true fan base that respects and loves that. So I said to my partners, we're all three different characters. Why don't we just start to be unapologetically ourselves every day? And each one of us will start to build bases that eventually come back to the MidDay Squares family. So we knew when we did this that there was actually not just a guess and check model. It was like, okay, something's going to work here. It's a reality show on entrepreneurship. We're going to show everything. We're going to take our cameras out, and it's unfiltered. So when we started posting this content, it was just us filming. And then we realized it was so hard to film like arguments and stuff like that because it takes you off your game, that we ended up hiring a videographer, a showrunner as our first hire ever. And it was like a month in to then take that content and edit it and get it out there. And we start to see the ROI happen when people start buying more product, and then retailers start coming to us, and then investors started coming to us. So then we invested in an entire team that's like basically like a newsroom. And I think that that's the way to look at it, is if you're going to be in CPG or consumer products, you better start acting like a TV producer. Think like a TV producer, because they understand how to emotionally connect with people, to get people to talk about what they're talking about, or to get people emotionally involved with your brand. So that's how we think about things. That's how we process it all.
How do you budget for a thing like that? Like, because by that logic, right, your logic being the more eyes we can get, the more fans we can build, that's what's bringing in sales. If that is the logic and you're not tying a direct ROI to it, what's stopping you from renting a massive warehouse and just doing ridiculous content all the time and being like the Rob Dyrdeks of chocolate? Like how do you budget for creating that kind of content without it getting out of hand?
Yeah. So I think that the content we create, the strategy we take, what's most important is that the content means something to us. So that when we watch it, my partners and I and our media team, that it actually makes an emotional connection. That if it does not add value, whether through an emotion or through education and entertainment, then the content is not worth going up. And the reason being is, if I don't want to watch my own company's content, what's the point of it? If it doesn't interest me, then why is it going to interest somebody else? So the content we take, that's the content, that goes up. The content we take is everything. Everything gets put on. We have 35 terabytes of content that is out there. That's on our Google Drive.
Jeez.
35 terabytes. So we have every moment that has happened in this business. Now, organizing it's a whole different story. But when we want to create a docuseries potentially one day when we've reached a certain status, maybe $1 billion unicorn status, and we want to show you exactly how that happened, we can actually show you in real time without reenactment what happened. And that's something that we haven't seen yet in the world, because no one actually has the day-to-day content because they don't take it. They usually reenact, here's the story of what happened, or they go back in memory time and have someone interviewed and talking about it, but they don't have a real B-roll, or they have select B-roll of certain moments. They don't have every moment. So for us, that's what we're trying to accomplish, is create that base so we have everything, so that we one day could tell a docuseries story, because that will just even be an even bigger marketing gig for us as well.
Very interesting. So you mentioned, obviously, potentially one day the goal being you become a unicorn, you hit that $1 billion, revenue side. What are the steps to get there? Do you think chocolate's going to be the only thing to get you there, and you just kind of expand on the line? Like, what's next for MidDay?
So I definitely think chocolate will take us there. So chocolate's $140 billion annually globally every single year. Snacking, it's one of the largest snacking sets. So I think for us, how we get there is we have 4 products right now. We'll go up to 6. That will get us to about 150 million in revenue. And then what we'll do is we'll create potentially, we'll go to more countries. So we're just in Canada and United States, but we'll eventually maybe go to Mexico, the UK, Europe, Asia. There's so much market for chocolate that we could build this to hopefully $500 million in revenue. And once you're at that rate, you're a unicorn company, because the CPG world, if you have a brand, revenue, and distribution and good margin, your valuations are really high. And so that's our model. But we might acquire businesses, or we might sell the company. Right now we don't want to sell the company at all. But you never know. If the offer comes and it makes sense and we're tired, then yeah, we'll sell it. But otherwise, maybe we take this company public at IPO. We raise more capital to keep growing, to acquire businesses, to dominate that fresh snacking set. Because we're a refrigerated item, so we're fresh. That's a big thing for us. If we could be that dominant player there, then we will have won, in terms of what we believe winning is.
So let's pivot back a second here. So you obviously, we talked a lot about the content side and all that stuff that's created. What else are you doing to help grow the site? Or is there a focus on the influencer side? Is it social media marketing, retention marketing, any kind of paid advertising? What else are you doing outside of just content creation?
So we're doing a lot of physical stuff. We treat this like a political campaign, and that's another strategy. Similar, think like a TV producer, but treat it like a political campaign, as if you're running for presidency. And here's why. You need to gain voters. You need to build voters, because voters use their heart to vote. Same thing goes with buying a product. So what we do is we actually physically go give conferences. We go as if we're an artist or a president and rally people. And it gives this physical touch to it, where we build fans on the ground level too. So I'll go do a, typically a speaking gig once a week with a crowd physically, and I'll give a rock star performance. I'll dance, I'll put music, I'll make it an experience, because it's not so much what I say, it's how I make them feel. And how I make them feel makes them like the brand. And another thing we're doing, other than the physical stuff, so my partners and I eventually want to go on tour, all 3 of us doing it consistently every week, all together, just out there at every college, every office, every conference, schools, whatever it is. The second thing that we're doing that's helping is influencer work as well. So we're working with some amazing influencers that authentically love MidDay Squares, and they're following, or they're the people that are fans of theirs would like a product like ours. So we're finding those people and then doing that as well.
Gotcha. How large is the team right now?
Because we manufacture, we're about 62.
Makes sense. Okay. So you're manufacturing, you're also, I assume, shipping out of your own warehouse. And you mentioned you're refrigerated, right? So how are you dealing with that?
So we're shipping express shipping. So once it leaves, it's like 1 to 2 day max in the shipment, in the transport.
Mm-hmm.
And it's insulated with reusable insulation and a reusable ice pack.
Gotcha.
D2C
So
is a bit harder for us, D2C. So that's why we're 30% D2C business and 70% actual retail.
That was my next question. Thank you for that. Okay. Gotcha. So the D2C side, is it a bulk option that you're purchasing from? Is it a subscription option? Like, what have you seen that has worked the best, at least so far, for you guys?
Honestly, we half-ass it. I'm not going to lie to you. We haven't had the time to because we have to build our manufacturing and sales and distribution out on the retail level. Our D2C has taken just a pause on any efforts and energy, which eventually we'll go back into. My business partner, Nick, came from that world prior. So once he's available and he's not doing ops on the manufacturing side, he's going to go into that aspect and start, building that. I think we could really even build up. We do about, $500,000-$600,000 on E-Comm every month. I think we could even bring that up to maybe $1 million easily. Just with more effort, time, energy, strategy, which none of that's there. There's nothing. It's literally the most basic. I think we had the same website for the last 4.5 years. Didn't really change anything.
It's interesting because if you're doing so much content from a digital perspective, I would expect the D2C side to be a bit more of a stronger approach. But I also know that not only CPG complicated from a D2C side regardless, but so is anything that's refrigerated. So I guess that does kind of make a lot of sense. Are you selling anywhere else besides just the website? And obviously besides retail, like any marketplaces,
Some
Amazon,
e-com
Walmart, that kind of
sites like
stuff?
Loofah Farms, like there's some e-com sites that we have that are partners of ours. We call them retailers though. But other than that, no. And like I'm telling you, like as soon as we put the time and effort into it, I think we'll blow it up. But for us, all of our digital marketing, our performance marketing, we're actually focused on pushing them at retail. So they go in and they support our retailers and tell their consumers and their fans to go shop at the retailer rather than online. Because online, we have to ship 2 boxes at a time. So you got to buy 2 packs of 12. In the retail, you could buy 1 bar at a time. So there's a lot more potential for you to go to your like local Target or your local Walmart or Whole Foods and get the product there, you know. So that's the game that we're playing.
Gotcha. Jake, really appreciate your time here. I know you're super slammed, so I don't want to take up any more of it, but I'd love to give you an opportunity to let everyone know where they can find out more about you and obviously more about MidDay.
Andrew, appreciate you giving us a voice, and thank you for this beautiful interview. Find MidDay Squares on our go to www.middaysquares.com. You can check our store locator page to find a store next to you, or you can buy on our website. We're always in the refrigerator in the store, and to find us, follow us on social. MidDay Squares on TikTok and Instagram is where really a lot of the action is, and then add me on LinkedIn at Jake Karls, JakeKarls. Always happy to chat and connect.
Love it, Jake. Thank you so much. Obviously, everyone tuned in. Thank you for tuning in. Please make sure you do the usual rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff, or head over to the ecommshow.com to check out all of our previous episodes. And make sure to tune in August 30th for our live episode. And as usual, thank you all for joining us, and we will see you all next time. Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to the E-Comm Show. Head over to ecommshow.com to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on the BlueTuskr YouTube channel. The E-Comm Show is brought to you by BlueTuskr, a full-service digital marketing company specifically for e-commerce sellers looking to accelerate their growth. Go to BlueTuskr.com now for more information. Make sure to tune in next week for another amazing episode of The E-Comm Show.